Hey guys, Solly here again with another raid guide video, this time for Heroic Forgeweaver Araz, which in my view was an enjoyable fight, but there were a few things that we just needed to work out how they were working and such before we managed to get this boss down. Once we did that after a few pulls, it only took another 2 or 3 to down this boss, but overall quite enjoyable. Once again, this fight is going to be, this guide is going to be aimed more at tank players. However, I will be covering abilities that everybody does need to be aware of as well. So the fight is an ad fight, essentially. There are lots of ads throughout. You will be requiring a significant amount of cleave, control, roots, stuns, all of that good stuff. And there are a few different phases that happen multiple times over the fight, with then an intermission moving into the last phase, which completely changed the dynamic of the boss as well. So on pull, you're going to want to take the boss towards the back of the room. We tanked it here pretty much where it stood, but you could technically bring it further back if you wanted as well. So throughout the fight, the boss channels on these collectors. There are 3 around the room, and when he channels on them, you will start to see these orbs, well, these little pools floating around the room, which you need to dodge and sidestep. The boss will then cast Overwhelming Power, which he has just done there. So you can see this ability come out now. This is where you want to tank swap. So pretty much every Overwhelming Power, so just here, you can see that the first tank had it, and now I've taken it from the boss as well. Once you have taken that, then the first main tank ability will come out, which is called Arcane Obliteration. So just here, you can see a circle come around myself. Everybody really needs to be soaking that, and then another ad will spawn, which is called an Arcane Echo. So the way in which we did this was I took the Echo out of the boss. So you can see here, when it spawns, I pick it up and move it away. Now this big circle that you can see here means that the ads are too close to each other and they do significantly lower amounts of damage. So you either take the boss or Echo out. The first few pulls we did the boss, but we then switched it to the Echo. I take the Echo all the way out till the ring drops off, at which point the range then blow up this first Echo. And get it down as quickly as possible. And we found by moving the Echo out, we actually had better boss damage in total. Before I go to the next part, there is another mechanic which you need to be aware of, which is really key to this entire fight, is the ads. So just here, you can see that a number of players will get targeted with orbs, and it looks like lines coming out of them going towards the collectors. All of these players need to go and stand underneath the boss as ads will spawn, and this happens all the way throughout the fight. These ads need to be kept underneath the boss and not allowed to reach the collectors. So roots, vortex, stuns, and just get them into that melee cleaver essentially, and get them cleaved down as fast as possible. So as you can see, I've now got the Echo. I've brought it out. The ranged are nuking it as hard as they can. And then once this dies, I then move back to the boss. And we rinse and repeat this for a few times. We then get another Overwhelming Power happening now. The other tank takes it. I then taunt off the boss. Ads will continuously spawn and such. The next soak happens now, so the other tank has got this. I then keep the boss and he takes the Echo out, and we just rotate it like this throughout the fight. This essentially is the first phase that you will have to deal with, and like I say, you'll have to do this a number of times throughout the fight. At a certain point then, once you have done this, the boss will then move towards the very back of the room, and if I can find that, I will show you where that happens. It is just here. Okay, so the boss runs to the back of the room, and then the 3 collectors become active. Now, what we did here was we decided that we would always start on this one by the entrance. So everybody, no matter what, would always come to this one. So you can see everybody in my raid group runs across to this. Now there will be 2 adds that will spawn, one right next to this collector and then one the other side of the beam, which is just here. I picked up the one here and the other tank picked up the other one, and then we go our separate ways and we move to either of the other collectors. And the reason being is when these reach 100 energy, the collectors will start a beam. They will fire a beam that goes to the middle of the room, and if that goes off, it does massive raid-wide damage and you will end up dying. These adds block that beam, and you can see there's like a line of electricity that goes from the collector to the add. So you need to position your add to in between the beam and the middle, in between the collector and the middle of the room. So we kill the first one. I'll go back so you can see this. So we kill the first one really quick. I pick up this add and then I go to this one over here. The raid and the other tank goes to the opposite collector, so everybody's running over across to purple. And I essentially stand here on my own, rotating my defensives because these adds hit hard. Once this collector is down, the other tank and the raid group come back across, and what you'll notice is that we immediately switch adds. We take each other off to drop our debuff, which is slowly ticking up. These adds do truck, so you might want to use defensives, have healers just spot you and such. Once you've got the third add down, the third collector down, the boss will then reappear in the middle of the room. As you can see now, we drag the adds and cleave them down as much as possible, and the boss takes a damage increase for 50%, 100%. As you can see here on my weak aura that I've got here, during this phase, the boss takes 100% more damage, and you just blast the boss as hard as you can to make sure that you get as much boss damage in as possible. Once you've done that, it then goes back to the start of the fight, and you have to do the exact same process all over again. Make sure that the adds are being dropped underneath the boss. Make sure that you are taking the echo out and you are swapping every time the tank hit happens, and that people are soaking the arcane obliteration. You'll do that. The boss will then return to the middle of the room. The collector's phase will start again, and you will pick up the 2 mini adds, and you will do these collectors. So here we're starting it again. Collectors launch are starting. We're nuking this one as hard as we can. I pick up this add. I go to orange. The other tank goes to purple, and we just do the exact same thing all over again. Once you have done this, and you get back to the boss, who will then take increased damage again, it will then finally transition into the last phase, which is utter chaos, and for ranged DPS, I really don't know how you manage to play it. So you can see here that we've just absolutely blasted the boss, and we used Lust there. So when the boss comes back and we take this damage increase, we pop Lust, and we just blast the boss as hard as we can, because we want to get him as low as possible, so we don't have to do as much damage in this last phase. So once the boss finishes this, we all get knocked back to the entrance of the room, and you will see here that there is a line of void that goes all the way across, and we drag the boss all the way to the entrance, and you have a constant pushback taking place. So you need to have your movement speeds, any abilities that will help you stay as far away from that void as possible, because if you touch that line, you will die. Throughout this fight, this phase as well, you will get adds spawning consistently as well. You can see with these lines, that means the adds are spawning. These need to be dropped underneath the boss, and they need to be controlled, CC'd, Ring of Peace, Vortex, whatever it is that you've got. Death Knight grips, all of that good stuff, to keep them under the boss while you focus on getting that boss down. So that's why it's really important to get the boss as low as you possibly can before it gets into this phase, so you don't have to do as much damage here and you can get out of this phase as quickly as possible. Once you've done that, the boss dies, and you get your loot, and you can then move on to the next few bosses. That's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope the guide helps. Thank you very much, and as soon as I get more bosses down, I'll be putting out more videos to help you along the way.